I started recording this video and then realized that I was talking about the wrong book. So, anyway, The Beautiful Ones by Silvia Moreno-Garcia is next because I love her, and pretty much anytime she puts out a book, I have to at least give the description a courtesy read to see if I think I would like the book, which is how I ended up with The Beautiful Ones. Um, so, there's this guy named Hector looking for this lady named Valerie, and he's in love with her. She is in love with him, but she can't be with him because she chose responsibility over being in love. She's got a cousin named Nina, and Nina she's young and kind of wild, and she's not super into the responsibility that she has as a young woman in the world. And Valerie hates that because Valerie didn't get to choose, so she thinks that her cousin shouldn't get to choose either. Her cousin is basically a misery loves company type. So Nina is with her cousin so she can find a husband, but she doesn't want a husband right now. She can't stop thinking about Hector because Nina has powers. She's slightly telekinetic, so she likes Hector because Hector is also telekinetic, and she wants him to teach her how to control her powers more or less because they're kind of dictated by her emotions right now. Valerie was in love with Hector once. Hector still vocally loves her. So they go to see him perform, and he gets invited to dinner. And he wants to start courting Nina. Valerie is against it, but he lets her actual cousin is Valerie's husband. He allows it. Um, though his friend thinks that Hector's friend thinks that courting Nina is a bad idea, but Nina tries with the proper lady stuff, but it's not for her. She can't figure out why Valerie and Hector don't get along, but it's clear that they don't. And Nina ends up kissing him because he's kind of conflicted because he does love Nina, but he also is still like in love with Valerie. What happened was is that Hector proposed to Valerie and she was going to go with him, but then she decided at the last second not to, and she didn't get a chance to tell him. He found out her rejection just based off the fact that she never showed up to marry him. They were gonna like run away together or something like that. Um, Valerie writes a letter to no, Nina writes a letter to Hector, and Valerie sees them kiss and somehow ends up using that letter to blackmail her. Nina's just upset now, and she doesn't go back to her cousin's home. And they try to marry her off to somebody that Valerie actually thinks is worth it, but she doesn't want to. She runs away with him and just forget about it. Valerie tries to seduce Hector. It doesn't work. And she's also very bitter. And yeah, Luke, no, Valerie's husband ends up in a duel with Hector because of Valerie's lies, and she doesn't Hector doesn't die. Valerie ends up being sent away because the woman probably needs therapy, but all these stories take place before therapy was like an accepted thing. Nina and Hector get married, which is good. Silvia Moreno Garcia is incredibly talented, and I love her writing. Um, I don't know what was happening with that other book that I said was kind of slow, but man, I love her. Valerie made me so angry, and like when characters are able to elicit the emotions out of me that they probably would if they were real people, that makes me really happy because to me that signals a good writer. And I like good writing. Who doesn't like good writing? Yeah, I really like Nina. Again, this book is a little bit more domestic fiction than I normally would go for, but I mean, whatever. I liked it. It was good. There was a book that I was going to read, that I was going to try to read called Birds of Paradise, but I got confused and bored, so no. Um, Maya and the Return of the Godlings is the next book I'm going to talk about. There's a third one out. I own it. It's this book, Maya and the Return of the Godlings. Because remember that this is Maya, and her two friends are also Godlings. It's just that her father is the one who used to protect, who's supposed to protect the fabric between this realm and the dark, more or less. Let me put that back. Um, yeah. So Maya is trained to be a guardian, and it's hard. Her dad is still very weak. Um, her own magic is coming through, but very slowly. And as it would turn out, her dad is dying. Part of his soul got left in the dark, and that's a problem. Also, godlings are coming into their powers all over the place now, and like it's not a bad thing, but some of them don't have teachers, so that's not great. Um, they go to a cloud city, and Frankie is looking for information on her mom, and it's hard. Maya is gonna fix the missing soul thing because the adults want to wait, but her dad's gonna die and she can't deal with that. So Maya also, they want her to pledge to the council, but then that means that she wouldn't be able to go against their directives. So she doesn't. The council wants to train the godlings. Not all of them want to be trained, and the council tells Maya that they'll be watching her and not to do anything stupid. A huge tear comes in the veil, and a fight ends up happening, and her dad falls into a deep sleep. Her mom knows that she can't stop Maya, so she lets her go because she knows her child. The Lord of Shadows' power is starting to leak through the veil, which is not great. So they go into the dark, and they get help from a dark bringer. They set him free and go to the Crystal Palace. There are dark bringers who do not want to return to our world. They want to stay in the dark because I guess it's just better for them. Somehow they view it as better for them. I don't know. The children also start to think if there were always tears in the veil, then why are they increasing now? And also, what changed after the Second War to make the tears more plentiful? So, yeah. The Lord of Shadows also needs Maya to be alive, so they can't kill her. Um, yeah. Frankie and Eli don't trust the Darkbringer that's helping them. Veil tears are also random on the dark side too. Yeah. Uh when they get to when they find his soul, they also find one of her dad's children from his previous marriage that they thought that the Lord of Shadows had killed. They thought the dad thought that all of his previous family were killed. Turns out they weren't. She is one of the daughters. I believe her name is Ilani. She is alive, and yeah, the count. When Maya returns, some of the council want to punish her. Some of them think it's fine. The veil is burning though, and the Darkbringer also gets to say, um, "I think Ilani is not what she seems. I think the Darkbringer is genuine, and I think Ilani is not what she seems. This journey is also beginning to bore me, which either is because I am an adult or is just because, I mean, I know where it's going to go. So, and yeah, I still like these books. I'm gonna read the third one. I'm really happy that there's only three of them because if there weren't three of them, I think I would suffer. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go through these next two books really quickly because I've only got yeah, because I didn't like them. The Kish Quotient by Helen Hoang. Um, One of my friends recommended it to me because the main character has autism, and I wanted to read it. And it's basically about a girl who hires a male escort to teach her how to do love things, and then she falls in love with him. And it's not the characters, it's just the setting. Like I don't know what type of domestic I think it needs to be domestic fiction that would like never happen to me. So like domestic fiction that is set in the past, like Gentleman's Guide and all of that, or domestic fiction with a twinge of fantasy like The Beautiful Ones, cuz she's telekinetic. Like it doesn't play a huge part in the story, but it sort of kicks off the plot because she wouldn't be obsessed with this man if she wasn't telekinetic. So Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I didn't like the Kiss Quotient. I gave it to the said friend who recommended it to me. And also 100 Days of Summer. So this girl, right, she goes blind because of a car accident, and she is upset because she's blind and it's going to take a while for her to be able to see again. And her friends, her mom and her dad hire this dude who's going to help her write her stories, or I guess just her blog, before she gets her vision back. And through the process of this, he teaches her that there's more to life than, I guess, being able to see. And somehow, some way, this ends with her falling in love with him, but he tries to leave because he's in a wheelchair, because he doesn't want her to see him in the wheelchair, because he doesn't like that he's in a wheelchair. And like, I got to page 116, and everything I have to say is leveled at the characters, not the author's writing, because the author's writing is fine. That's why I only made it to page 116, because the characters pissed me off too much. um Main character Tessa. Honey, I get that being disabled is hard in some aspects, especially if you know that eventually you will no longer be disabled, probably, because I think at the beginning of the story she didn't know that. But I get that it's difficult, but like, there are people who are blind and they live their lives every single day and they're fine. So clearly this is not a Herculean impossible task for you to manage. And also, like, I don't know, just like, I don't know. I guess being disabled myself, I just think that she's being a little bit childish when it comes to all of this. Most of my ire is leveled at Weston. Weston is the one in the wheelchair. Bro, this girl is in love with, first of all, the internalized ableism, because he also used to be able to walk, but now he's in a wheelchair. The internalized ableism of, I want to be around this girl and I'm going to be friends with her, but then when she can see again, I'm just going to pop out of her life like I was never there. That is entirely inappropriate. That is complete, no, no, that is horrific. And then also, when it became clear that she was falling in love with him, he should have said something about being in the wheelchair. I hate Weston because he took advantage of a blind girl. Um, yeah, one of my friends said that it was internalized ableism, and I thought it was just great value toxicity before they said something. Man, that is just wholly inappropriate. That, no, that is awful.